Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the latest Quality English interview. This morning, we are interviewing Assiya Zhangabay from the Kazakhstani Association of ELT. Was that correct, Assiya?
Yes, it is correct.
Excellent. Well, lovely to have you here this morning. We've been having a few conversations about how Quality English and your association can interact for the benefit of Quality English schools and the teachers in your group. So this morning, we're just going to ask you a few questions about you and about KazAELT. So first of all, can you tell us a bit about yourself and your background?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Assiya. I'm Assiya Zhangabay. I am an English teacher and a professional IELTS tutor. I've been doing this for more than 6 years. It's turning 7 years in next month. Yeah, and I'm a passionate English teacher, and I also like to mentor teachers from my own country, region, city.
Wonderful. And where are you based?
I'm based in Germany right now. I am a traveler because of my husband's job. We're nomads. We change the locations every 2 years because of my job, and that's why I teach online.
Right. Okay. Well, that's quite a typical story for our industry anyway. So when and why did you decide to start your association?
I've carried this idea of starting teacher associations since COVID outbreak in 2020, because that year when it all started, different institutions such as Oxford University Press, Cambridge University Press, ITEFL would provide a generous support to teachers of English worldwide. They would provide free webinars, series of webinars every month, and some webinars on teaching online to address, these new challenges at that time. And there were teachers from different, countries. They would chat in the chat, in a common chat. They would, in the beginning of the webinars, they would say, "Hi, I'm from Georgia. Hello, I'm from Uzbekistan." But I didn't get to see many teachers from my country. It's not only that year I've discovered this, but even before that, there were not many teachers in Kazakhstan who knew what is ITEFL, for example, international conferences. Or some just discovered what is a communicative language teaching method, like, the certificates and diplomas like CELTA and Delta and so on. So what I discovered is that, so that's why I've decided to set up an association, maybe to help those teachers to know more, to raise their awareness of global opportunities, about conferences, about programs for teachers to develop.
Brilliant. Okay, so you saw an opportunity. And what is the main objective of the Kazakhstani Association of ELT?
The mission of KazAELT is to link and unite English language teachers in Kazakhstan and to support them in their teaching experience by providing opportunities to develop, by providing monthly webinars hosted by recognized ELT tutors. We would also call them ELT stars, like Scott Thornberry, like Jeremy Harmer, or Jane Willis, and so on. So the teachers could ask their questions, because we have some teachers who are more advanced in their professional development. They would experiment with, for example, task-based learning, and they would still have some questions that they would love to get the answer from those who've written the books and done the research. So that's the first thing. Second, it is about inclusivity. And when you asked about my background, I forgot to mention one fact, that I was born and raised in a village in Kazakhstan, western part of Kazakhstan. And I had a dream. I wanted to study abroad. I wanted to study in Canada. I had this dream. And what my teachers and my classmates would do is they would make fun of me, because it's a very small village. And economically, Kazakhstan is not that developed as well. It's a developing country as well. So they would make fun of me. First of all, they would call my English village English. So that's the first thing. Second, even teachers wouldn't really believe in me because they don't believe in themselves. They think that their English is not good enough. And this was actually proved by a research done in, I'm afraid to give the wrong details, so I will just say which organization conducted and who. So it was conducted by the support of British Consul in Kazakhstan by a person called Simon Borg. And that was proved that in Kazakhstan, many teachers, they have just a little lower level of English than expected. So that's the first thing. And those teachers, so the point is that not all the students who, the pupil from villages, they can get to study in a private schools in Kazakhstan where English level is taught in a really high level, or not all the school girls and boys could go to special intellectual schools, because of their financial or some other resources. So what I wanted to do is, by means of creating this association, to provide inclusive professional development programs for all of them, for teachers from villages, teachers from the cities, teachers from universities. And if we can influence as an association at least one or two teachers from these rural areas, I thought that maybe we could influence and change the mindset, and we could influence other students, just like me in the past, when I was in school. So this is why we've set up this association. And really, we do have this inclusivity. Everyone can find anything for them in this, in the frame of this association. Also, next year, when I talk about the plans, I can also share some things that we're doing next year.
Brilliant. Okay, well, I can say you certainly don't have village English now. You mentioned those superstars of the industry who have given webinars and presentations, and hopefully there are a few within Quality English who might be interested to take part as well, so we can put you in touch. Can you just give us a little overview? You've mentioned the webinars and the inclusivity that you're trying to achieve. Can you give us a short overview of what you've done in the last 12 months?
We've done webinars on, so what we did was, we don't divide the teachers of English into, locals, natives. All of them, they have equal status, rights in our association, which means that even teachers from our country who would like to share their experience, they still can give a speech and webinar. They can host these webinars within the association. So what we did was, first we encouraged our teachers, local teachers, to provide, to host webinars and share their experiences, because not everything in terms of methodology, or not everything that is out there about ELT can fit culturally into our culture. So we encourage our teachers to host webinars, but also we've hosted a webinar with Hugh Deller about teaching lexically. We've hosted a webinar with Scott Thornberry on discourse analysis, and we're planning one with Scott Thornberry on teaching unplugged, for the low resource classrooms, to address those issues of rural areas not having maybe enough equipment and so on. So I think it's a great way for a low resource classrooms as well. We've hosted a webinar with Jane Willis on task-based learning. We think that this is something worth practicing, especially if you have a big class of 20-30 people in Kazakhstan. And we've hosted almost more than 15 webinars for the last year. Also, more than 30 offline events in different cities of Kazakhstan, and one big first annual conference in Astana in 2023 in June. We're really proud of it because our association is a non-profit organization. Nobody's paid for their work. So basically, we have a team of 8-10 people who are all volunteers, including me. We're all volunteers, and we didn't, at that time when we hosted our first conference, we didn't have that much of an experience of hosting big conferences. I had an experience of attending them because I've attended IETFL twice and some other conferences before, but as an as a host of the conference, never had an experience. So this was our very first experience. Even though we were less experienced, this conference turned out to be successful because there were people, representatives of other institutions who would attend many conferences, and they said that we've done a great job for the first conference. And the next year we're hosting another one, and I think it's going to be much better.
Brilliant. It sounds like you've been super busy and you've achieved an awful lot in a very short space of time. So, yeah, you mentioned you'll hopefully be hosting another conference in 2024, but what are your other plans for next year?
Can I brag a little bit?
Sure.
Okay. So in the beginning of our interview, I mentioned that in Kazakhstan, not many teachers would know such conferences as IETFL. They were not so proactive. They would be just happy with the way the things are in their workplace. But there's also, I should mention, there's an isolation that teachers experience, the freelance teachers especially. So the association was some kind of, help for them to break this isolation, because they would every month meet with the little small teachers communities within the association in their cities. But this year, next year, we are visiting IETFL as a group of 5 teachers from KazAELT. I'm really proud of that because this is something that I dreamed of back in 2020, before setting up an association, before even this idea was born. I even raised this question in my blog, asking why not so many teachers from Kazakhstan are there in international conferences. And this year we're visiting IETFL, next year, 2024, as a group of 5 teachers. One of them won a scholarship. 2 of us, me and my other colleague from an international school in Kazakhstan, but we got a speaker proposal, so we're going there as a speaker. And the rest 2 we are financing as an association to our volunteers. As I mentioned before, the association works, it's a non-profit organization, and we don't really receive any salary. But there are 2 people who we would love to thank for their hard work over the year, and we are financing their trip to IETFL. Apart from that, we're planning monthly webinars, as I mentioned before, to address the specific issues. We are doing the needs analysis. Another thing that I would mention is that we are hosting a conference in August in 2024 in Almaty. And as I mentioned before, our first conference was a success, and many other organizations, institutions, they've just witnessed this, and they offered to cover travel grants for speakers from UK. And I'm beyond grateful for such a generous offer. I can give one example. For example, Oxford University Press, they agreed to bring one speaker from UK, and they're going to pay for the expenses. This is such a huge help for our conference. Apart from that, we've got so many partnership opportunities. Just because of the first conference, it was a success, and many people were just interested in collaborating with us. And for our August conference, we are having a lot of support from our partners, from other publishers as well.
That's brilliant. So the word is spreading. So how big was the conference last year, and how big?
It was not that big. It was only, there were only 140 people, including the volunteers and the speakers.
Yeah.
And 16 speakers, 2 days in the university.
In Astana?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And how big do you think that it'll be next year, based on all this increased interest and support?
We would like to have it at least 500, but wow, what is possible for us for now, I think realistic number would be 300, but who knows?
Yeah.
We organized the previous conference in like a very short time. We've set up our association in January. We had like 3 months to prepare for the conference. And this time we have almost more than half a year. It's in August, and now it's December, and we started this partnership negotiations and the preparation process. So I think this year, the least we're expecting 300.
Wonderful. Okay, well, we'll certainly encourage quality English academic staff to attend and possibly to present. So that sounds like a wonderful opportunity. We ourselves will be visiting Kazakhstan in March. We're hosting an event probably in Almaty, where we'll bring together our quality English schools with some local agents. So we're very much looking forward to returning to Kazakhstan. Thank you so much for all of this morning. We can share your contact details with our schools so they can get in touch and find out more. But in the meantime, thanks again.
Thank you so much, Jonathan.